Have you ever heard of wonderboard before? It's used in bathrooms. It can be used indoor or outdoor. There's no wood fiber and there's no gypsum. Welcome back to Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. And today we're going to make some of the most cheap, durable raised beds that you've ever seen. Now down in Arizona, the problem with having wooden raised beds is termites. And so we are going to use wonderboard. And out of the 3x5 sheet, we're going to get 3 strips 1 foot wide. So Joe is putting on his safety glasses, ear protection, and we've used that long board that's clamped to the wonderboard as a guide. And so you can just take your saw straight down and cut it in one clean shot. You don't have to worry about anything. Now this is a 18-volt DeWalt saw that we've had for a really long time. We brought it down with us this time. And Joe's just putting it along that guide, and it can go all the way across and it will cut a smooth cut. There's a lot of different ways you can cut wonderboard, but the circular saw is very easy and you get a really smooth, clean cut, especially using a guide on there. Now, first we started out with 1 table. We decided to put 2 tables just to make it a little more stable. Plus Joe's climbing on tables, so it makes it a little bit easier. And it's just a matter of cuts. Now we have 3 wonderboards. So we will have 3 raised beds. And of course Joe is always having his safety things on. Safety glasses, safety protection for his ears. And we're just doing all the cuts all at once before we start to build anything. Well, we had to go to Home Depot and get a new saw. The batteries just weren't holding the charge and it was an old saw, and so Joe's so excited about the new saw. And it just cuts slick as a whistle. And so we're going to finish doing those long cuts. And now we're doing the end cuts, in which we're just going to take the 1x5 sheets that we have cut and cut them right in half. So we're having a little bit of discussion on exactly how to cut those. And then Joe is going to mark it with the marker and cut straight down the center. Safety glasses again. And that is the end of all of our cuts. Now to put them together, we're going to use L brackets. And so we got screws that were specifically made for the wonderboard, L brackets, and we will put them all together. So each end will get an L bracket. And there's 4 screws on each side. Then Joe's taken the grinder, and any of the tips that went through onto the other side, he's just grinding off. Though it would be underground, I might scrape myself, so that's why he's doing it. So we put them together 2 sides at a time, and then we're going to walk the other 2 sides over so that we can fit it all together. And once all 4 of those sides are screwed in together, it's really stable. And the L brackets just become the cornerstones for them. Now I'm going to make sure that it's all leveled out. And Joe is going to take the drill and just finish up those screws that need to be screwed in there. And I'll help him hold that, and it will just be a perfect raised bed. 5 feet by 2.5 feet, 1 foot high, which will really work perfect in Arizona. Because of its wonderboard, I don't have to worry about termites coming up into the moist soil. So Joe's just finishing that very last side. And I will come along and scoop the gravel back against it to hold it even more. So we're going to fill those all the way to the top, but we're going to do all 3 of our beds first before we start filling anything. And see how I'm just pulling that dirt and gravel back along the edges? It'll just make it more stable. Now I'm also going to add some rebar just because I want to be able to put some hoops on there. Now Joe's putting the very last screws in, so you can see how we did the design of the 3 beds, and we actually hooked that single one that Joe's working on to the other 2, so it's really stable and made it even more secure. Now here's the rebar. Joe's cut them up 2-foot lengths, and that way we can pound them a foot in the ground into the sandy soil. We're using cardboard underneath first, and that will just help if there's any weeds that want to come up through there. After we fill everything with cardboard, I have willows that are right along the property line, and we are just taking all the leaves that were underneath them and covering the cardboard. You can see the rebar is in there now, so that when I want to put hoops on there in December and January, I can, so I can cover up the plants. And then we went and got some garden soil. Now you may have soil on your property, so you're not buying bags of soil. But for us, we had to go buy bags of soil. So the cost of the raised beds, I'm not including the soil because not everybody has to add buy soil. And we're just talking about the raised beds. Now we got our first layers in there, and so on one section I'm going to add some organic potatoes. Now I didn't chit these, and so they're going to take a little bit longer before they sprout, but we still have plenty of time down here to enjoy all these potatoes. And I'm going to plant about 10 of them. And then the extra soils we didn't use, Joe's going to put over on the side of the house so I can use them for my towers. But you can see we filled those beds up completely with soil. Now the soil was pretty dry, and so I'm going to really spend some time and just give it a really good soak, because if you only soak it for 10 minutes, it's only going to rehydrate down a few inches. And I have some tomato plants, pepper plants. I brought down some ginger that I've been growing, and I am going to set those down in there. I'm going to break off the extra leaves and then bury them very deep. So here it is all planted. So we have lettuces, peppers, tomato plants. We have some cabbages, some broccolis, the potatoes. I have some romaine lettuce over here too. And it's going to be a great raised bed. In fact, I told Joe, I think I want 2 more that we can attach, so it'll just make in 5 quadrants there. But the broccoli and cabbages will grow fast, lettuce, and it'll be real interesting to watch the ginger. This is the area that the potatoes are in. But I really like it. And I soaked it real good, so everything is hydrated again. And I'm going to add a little bit of fun glasswork to it that I brought down from Wyoming. So for $15 a raised bed, I think it was a great deal.